Namaskar, my dear students. Today I am going to start with the next topic of the same chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And the topic that we shall be starting today is the pollination. As already you know, the pollination is the transfer of the pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the flower. It is called as the pollination. But because the pollination process proceeds in different ways, taking into consideration various uh, agents and various different types of the flowers, so we have classified the pollination into various types. And to make it precise, pollination is broadly classified into two types, the self pollination and the cross pollination. What is this self pollination and the cross pollination? The self pollination is the transfer of the pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant. And accordingly, we have divided self pollination into autogamy and the geitonogamy. Autogamy could be direct or the indirect. Autogamy and geitonogamy, depending upon whether the pollen grain is transferred to the stigma of the same flower or to the different flower of the same plant respectively. Then what is cross pollination? Cross pollination is the transfer of the pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower but of the same kind. As you can see in this figure, the pollen grains from one flower reaches the another flower. Now the way in which these reach the other flower, that depends upon certain factors which could be based on the plant or based on the factors. The factor which plays a role in causing the process of pollination to occur, they are called as the pollinators. Or in other words, pollinators are the agents which accomplish the process of pollination, and accordingly, depending upon different pollinator, it could be anemophily, hydrophily, zoophily, and among the zoophily, it could be ornithophily, myrmecophily, it could be chiropterophily, it could be malicophily, and we shall be discussing these all the types one by one. First, we must understand what is self pollination. When the pollination occurs from the same flower or it occurs in the different flower but of the same plant. And the cross pollination, the transfer from one flower to the another flower of the another plant. Whatsoever is the case, if the pollinator is playing the agent, is playing the role for causing the pollination, it is mostly in case of a cross pollinating plant, and we have pollinating agencies. They could be the, depending upon what is the pollinator, there could be abiotic or the non-living agents, there could be biotic or the living agents. Among the abiotic, we have anemophily and hydrophily. Whereas the living organisms, when they play a role in causing the process of pollination to occur, it could be entomophily, ornithophily, chiropterophily, malicophily, then myrmecophily. We shall be discussing these one by one. First is the anemophily. It is the mode of cross pollination or the transfer of the pollen grains through the agency of wind. It occurs in coconut, palm, date palm, maize, many grasses, and cannabis. Generally, the flowers which pollinate via the agency of the wind, they are colorless, odorless, and nectarless. Pollen grains are light, dusty, small, winged, dry, smooth, and non-sticky, and even unwettable. That is, do not get wet, and therefore the transfer becomes easier via wind. Stigma is hairy and leathery, as you can see in this figure. The stigma is um, hairy, feathery, or branched to catch the wind-borne pollen grains. The pollen grains are produced in large number because the wind pollinated pollination is a chance pollination as which depends upon the velocity of the wind, direction of the wind. So large number of pollination confirm the process of pollination. Next is the hydrophily. It is the mode of pollination or the transfer of the pollen grains via the agency of water. And the plants where it occurs, there are several plants. Most important, I have given the two examples, Zoostera and Vallisneria. Now, what are the characters of the flowers? Are the plants which undergo the pollination via agency of water or the hydrophily. These flowers are small and inconspicuous, that is very small, insignificant. Nectar and odor are absent since nectar and odor are for the attraction of the pollinators and water doesn't need so hence nectar and odor are absent. Pollen grains are light and unwettable due to the presence of mucilage covers because the plants are mostly in water but the pollen grains remain dry because of mucilage cover on it. Stigma is long, sticky and unwettable because long stigma ensures the reaching of the pollen grain on its surface. Next is the biotic agents we have reached, and the first one is the entomophily. The pollen grains are transferred to the mature stigma through the agency of insects like moths, butterflies, wasps, bees, beetles, etc. As you can see in this figure also. And these mostly the orchids and various other flowers which show the process of entomophily. They are these are the bougainvillea, euphorbia, etc., viola, etc. Here the flowers are very showy and brightly colored. Most insect pollinated flowers have a landing platform for the insects. The pollen grains are spiny, heavy, and surrounded by a yellow, oily, sticky substance to which we called pollen kit. Stigmas are often inserted and sticky. Some flowers provide safe place in the insects for laying the eggs. For example, yucca, which is a different type of the pollination caused by the specific insects. Now, nature has co-evolved the pollinators and the flowers so as to cause this process to occur in a symbiotic way. Next is the ornithophily. The ornithophily, it is the mode of allogamy or the cross pollination performed by the birds. Only a few types of the birds are specialized for this. They usually have a small size and long beaks. Now, the flowers, the characteristics of the flower which undergo pollination by the help of the birds, they are the flowers which are usually brightly colored like red, orange, yellow, blue, etc. The floral parts are commonly leathery. Ornithophilous flowers secrete abundant watery nectar which is a reward for the pollinators and have edible plants. The scent is often absent because the pollinators are attracted due to the agency of the because of the color of the flower which are very showy. Next is the pollination by bats. There are certain plants, the flowers of Kigelia, Durio, etc., where the bats hold on to the freely exposed, large and relatively tough flower which open in the evening or the nights. The bats, being the nocturnal animals, they transport pollen over long distances, such long as up to 30 kilometers they can transfer. They usually give off a strong scent like that of the rotting fruits. Bats also feed on the copious nectar and pollens which is produced by the plenty as compared to the bird pollinated flowers. In the flowers of Adansonia, The number of the stamens ranges from 1500 to 2000 to produce pollen in the large number. And this type of pollination is known as the chiropterophyll. Then there are certain flowers which are pollinated by the very slow moving animal to which we call snail, and the phenomena of the pollination which is caused by the snails is called as the melicophily. And next is the pollination by ants. The process of the pollination by the ants is called as the myrmecophily, and here the ants play a role in causing the process of pollination. Now, after discussing the various types of the pollination, we must know what is the significance of the pollination. The male and female gametes in the angiosperms are produced in the pollen grains and the embryo sac respectively, as we have discussed in the microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. As both male and female gametes are non-motile, they have to be brought together for fertilization to take place. The aim is achieved by the process of pollination. So, the role of the pollinators cannot be underestimated. Now, the next we have reached the process of the fertilization. Now, the stages of the pollination determine the stage of the fertilization. The various stages of pollination, as you can see in this figure, this is the ovary portion, this is the stigma portion, this is pollen grain yellow colored, and this is the pollen tube. What happens here? The pollen tube continues to grow. Once it lands on the stigma, the intine portion of the pollen grain, it continues to grow until it reaches the ovary. The pollen tube grows into the ovary and fuses with the ovule. The male gamete nucleus fuses with the female gamete in the ovary and results in the fertilization of the flower. Now, what are the various stages which occur during the fertilization? Let us discuss them. But I must tell you that the process of fertilization was discovered by Strasburger in the year 1884. Now, what happens during this process? Up to this, the pre-fertilization events have taken place. Now is the fertilization. After pollination, the intine of the pollen grain forms the pollen tube through the weak areas on the exine, to which we call germ pores. The growth of the pollen tube is stimulated by the sugary substances produced in the stigma. The pollen tube and the two male gametes and the tube nucleus runs through the style and finally turns towards the micropylar end of the ovary in the cavity of the ovary. The length of the pollen tube depends on the length of the style. Now, once the pollen grain has reached the micropylar end, then it enters into the embryo sac through the micropylar end. Now here I must mention that if the pollen tube enters through the micropylar end, it is called as the porogamy. But sometimes it may enter through the callosal end, then it is called as callosogamy, or if it enters through the integuments, it is called as the mesogamy. Whatsoever is the case, ultimately it reaches the embryo sac. The pollen tube penetrates the embryo sac, its tip penetrates in the embryo sac and reaches the egg apparatus, passing either between the egg and the synergids or between one synergid and the wall of the embryo sac. Ultimately, the tip of the pollen tube bursts and the two male gametes are discharged. The tube nucleus disorganizes before bursting of the pollen tube. One of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell and it causes the fertilization or the syngamy. Now, I must discuss here a unique phenomena of double fertilization which occurs only in the angiosperms, and this is a unique phenomena which differentiates angiosperms from the rest of the universe. And this phenomena of double fertilization was discovered by S.G. Navaschin in the year 1897 in the plant Lilium and the Fritillaria species. Now, what happens during this? The other gamete fuses, one gamete fuses with the egg to form the zygote. The other gamete, because pollen has released two gametes, it fuses with the secondary nucleus, the triple fusion, forming the triploid endosperm nucleus, which later on gives rise to the endosperm. Thus, the process of fertilization occurs twice in the same embryo sac at the same time by the two male gametes. This is called as the triple fusion and the syngamy, and it is called as the double fertilization. It looks like this. There you can see these are the degenerating synergids, because one of the gamete has entered into the egg cell forming the diploid zygote. The primary endosperm nucleus is there. This is triploid endosperm, because the two nuclei which have migrated in the center, they form the primary endosperm nucleus, and on fusion with the one of the male gametes, it forms triploid primary endosperm nucleus. After rest of the parts degenerate, and here you can see these are the degenerating antipodal cells. Now, after the double fertilization has taken place, now you have studied the gymnosperms, and you saw that the formation of the endosperm took place prior to the process of fertilization. Now, it is unique in case of angiosperms, because if no fertilization occurs, no endosperm will be formed and there is no wastage of the energy. Now, we can summarize the fertilization like this. The pollen tube grows from the pollen grains through the style, through the micropyle into the ovule. Sperm nuclei are discharged into the embryo sac, resulting in the double fertilization. The fertilized egg zygote will develop into embryo. Central cell will develop into endosperm. Ovule develops into seed, and ovary develops into fruit containing one or more seed, whatsoever is the case of that particular species. And the endosperm is initiated by mitotic division in the triploid nucleus, and the endosperms are of three types: nuclear, cellular, and the halobial. Now, after that takes place the embryo formation. Now, you can see in this figure the various stages how the embryo development takes place. After fertilization, the fertilized egg is called the zygote or the oospore, followed by predetermined mode of development. It gives rise to embryo. Now, the first division of the zygote is transverse. As you can see here, it is a transverse division leading to a formation of a terminal cell and the basal cell. The basal cells divide transversely to form uh, some more cells, and later divides longitudinally, resulting in the inverted T-shaped structure to which we call proembryo. Now, each of the two terminal cell now divides by vertical division to form the quadrant stage and then the octant stage. Of the octant, lower four cells form the stem tip called as the cotyledons, and upper four forms the hypocotyle. By the time the upper cells of the proembryo, it keeps on dividing to form 6 to 10 celled suspensor cell. The suspensor, of which the uppermost is the cell, it becomes swollen and vesicular to form haustorium. The lowermost cell functions as hypophysis, and a fully developed embryo of the dicotyledon has an embryonal axis differentiated into plumule, cotyledons, and the radicle. This is radicle, these are the cotyledons, and this is the plumule. The plumule is the future stem of the plant, whereas the radicle is the future root of the plant, the enlarging embryo. With the continuous growth of the embryo, it becomes heart shaped, to which we call the chordate. And enlarging embryo consists of two cotyledons in case of dicots and one cotyledon in case of monocots. The hypocotyle as well as the cotyledon soon elongate in size. During further development, ovule becomes curved like horseshoe, and then it is fully ready to form the next generation. This is how the development stages takes place in the angiosperms to form the full-fledged embryo. So we will stop here today. Thank you. Stay safe and do take care that you have to study this topic by yourself also, because it is occurs in a continuity, and if you study it in continuity, it definitely adds up to your knowledge and understanding. And in case of any query, you can personally ring me or leave your query at my email address. Thank you so much.